You're listening to the Ship Less Traveled, where small ships make big impressions.
We're two travel agents with a big obsession for small ship cruising.
From the Arctic to the Amazon, from European rivers to remote islands, if you can reach it by small ship, we're all about it.
We're curious, candid, and not afraid to say it like it is. So grab your life jackets.
Because you're cruising on the Ship Less Traveled. And I'll tell you, I would go back again. I would even cross the Drake's Passage again. I would do it all over because it was just so wonderful.
Before we get to Drake, let's do your swim because that
Oh,
was fun to watch.
I think swim is a stretch. It was more of a plunge, but I did the polar plunge. That was a must for me. My mantra going out there, and if you go back to our video before I went out there, was to do everything, and so I was
Yeah, and you
absolutely going to
did.
do that. Yeah, it was fine. They give you some boots to put on, so I wasn't running across the. We had to enter the water and do our plunge that way. The ship plunge that you always see on Instagram, on social media, those are tricky to do, I learned, because the ship has to be still, the water has to be perfect. So not always will the conditions be like that. So we did a run in and it wasn't bad until I came out of the water and then my skin hit the air. But they had people standing there with towels and
Oh, yeah, that's the worst bit I can imagine. I mean, going in is one thing, which I wouldn't do. I don't even go in the Atlantic anymore. I mean, saying that, that is not strictly true because Bermuda is the Atlantic, and I went in the sea in Bermuda and it was like bathwater. It was lovely and warm. But
mm,
anything around like North Atlantic, around the UK and Canada, no. No, that is, I don't even go, even if the temperature is 30 odd degrees outside, I'm just such a wimp these days. I am a wimp. I will not go into the sea, you know?
well, I think you would here. I think you would. I don't know. I think you'd feel
No,
if you've
no.
made it all that far, I think you would take the plunge. It reminded me of when you go to the spa and sometimes they have the cold water bucket and you can pull that and it drops the cold water. If you can remember the ice bucket challenge going back like 10, 15
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah. I don't do that at the spa. I go in the hot water.
Now, mind you, my camping experience had happened a day or two before the polar plunge, and the only moment I was truly uncomfortable in the cold was when you slip into that sleeping bag. You have to take off those big rubber boots, and they sit outside all night. And in the morning, when I slithered out and I had to put my socked feet into those boots, and some ice particles had formed in them overnight. It was not great. The only good thing, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but because you got to get up, you have to shovel in the little pit that you dig. You have to leave
Yeah.
everything as it is. That gave us some cardio, and so it started to warm us up really quick. So I wasn't cold for long, but man, it sucked putting those boots on.
No, no, no. Well, I
She's like,
have a
I'm not.
question though,
Yeah,
and
what's up?
I never knew these existed, but my husband was listening to a podcast, don't know which one, I don't want who he listens to, but he heard about sea spiders. Oh, I can't show you on here. There
Oh,
are sea spiders, and listen to this. There are about 1,500 known species of sea spiders. They are widespread throughout the ocean, but are particularly abundant in the polar regions. So, what I want to know is, did you come across any sea spiders? I think we all would have heard. I,
yeah, it would have been a shriek heard across the southern hemisphere if I had seen one, but I don't think I did. Maybe they're in the polar area. I mean, I'll have to find out because I can tell you now that I've done Antarctica, I'm dying to do Arctic now.
oh,
I've come back like that.
well, apparently they can grow as big as dinner plates.
Well,
So that's another reason for me to definitely say no to doing the polar plunge.
just in case it's in there. What was interesting when I did my plunge, there was a penguin, like as I was taking off my I had like a tracksuit, so I was unzipping and getting ready to go in. And there was like a penguin right there, kind of like cheering me on, and slipped right in the water just before I did. So I was running in, splashing, and I thought, is this little dude here
Oh,
somewhere?
it's
Because of
like,
course you
come
can't
on,
touch
follow
the
me.
penguin, but if they come into contact with you, it's a different story. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh,
it
I
was
want to go.
great.
I do want
I
to do the
love the
bony plunge.
penguins. I love them so much. They're my favorite animal out there. I mean, everything was cool, the whales, the seals, but the penguins were just
They're
perfection.
just so cute. They are just so cute.
So
They really.
cute. They waddle around. And one thing people might like to know is that maybe it was because I did this cruise just before Christmas, or maybe it was just the good vibes of this cruise, but I was feeling like a do-gooder. Absolutely no Scrooge feelings. And so I made a donation to the Port Lockery Antarctica Foundation, which is a UK group. And so your people down in Antarctica, and they work to do a number of things, including penguin conservation. So I have, on behalf of all my clients and my agency, everybody that has curiosity for Antarctica, this penguin belongs to all of us. And so I took care of that adoption while I was on the cruise. And
Oh,
speaking of UK, there is a post office in Port Lockery, and we didn't call in on it, but the ship does sell postcards that have they're pre-stamped and it says British Antarctica Territory, has a penguin and a Union Jack, and you can fill out your postcards and give them to the reception. And then when the ship does go to Port Lockery, they'll mail them from there, so they will get postmarked in Antarctica and on their way. So really, again, you might not have expected to have these human experiences out there, but they exist.
wow. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
So now,
So
shall we
cool.
talk about the Drake's Passage? I think
Oh, I
it's
want to know
high
how
time.
sick you got, Dave, as an experienced cruiser and traveler. How
Well,
sick did you get?
it wasn't my finest hour, and it wasn't my finest 48 hours going south. It was now again, the people on the ship, the crew, they're going back and forth, and so I would check in with them for feedback, and I'd say, hey, like, as somebody who does this all the time, on a 1 to 10, are we dealing with a 1 Drake Lake or a 10 Drake Shake? And they'd be like, this is maybe a 4 or 5. So that's what they said I experienced. For me, it was a 10. We had high waves in the 5 meter range. You just looked out the window and you could just see it, and you could feel it and you could hear it. Even the this very first world problem, but the champagne flutes in our cabin were just vibrating because you could feel everything on the ship. And so
Was
I
the
did.
champagne okay?
Yeah, it was the bubbles were fine, but the stemware, darling. But don't worry, the bubbles made it to Antarctica.
Oh,
And
God.
yeah, but in terms of sickness, I mean, I'm not here to talk about exactly how sick I got, but I had to make a few trips to the washroom and my stomach wasn't feeling right. And the first day I really struggled. The second morning I kept my breakfast down and then I kind of started to feel a little bit better. And I also think the second day wasn't as bad as the first. So I was really glad come the end of the second day, they had announced around 10:30 in the evening, ladies and gentlemen, you can start to see the first pieces of land come into view. And I went up and I had a look. And even as we got closer to Antarctica, the water started to straighten out. And it was perfect the whole time we were there. Blue skies, fabulous weather. We would go out for our landings in the afternoon, and it would be between 3 and 5 degrees. And by the time you start walking around and you got your layers on, that's like a nice wintry day.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that's actually not too bad. I mean, we've had
right.
-5 here the last couple of days. Woohoo! And they give us a severe weather warning here in the UK. It's all just so you know.
So, but I mean, it is their summer, right? And so the days are long and the weather is as good as it's going to be. And so, anyway, the seas were nice and blue and flat, just speckled with ice all over the place. It was great. Coming back, the Drake's Passage for us was much better. I would say maybe it was a 2 or 3 if we use the same scale. There was a little bit of movement, but nothing that wasn't
Good.
intolerable. The hardest part, though, and what made that crossing difficult was, and I think it's mental, as soon as you sail away from Antarctica and the program is done, I was like, well, get me home. Like, the cruise is done. But you can't. The airport is 2 days away in Ushuaia, so you've got to like ride out this passage. And so I don't know if you've ever been impatiently waiting, but that was the feeling of the Drake's Passage going back.
Oh, I know. I hate that because you kind of don't want your holiday to ever end, but when it has, and you've still got to do that long travel home, that's harsh.
Totally. And I wanted to get because it was getting really close to Christmas at that point. It was just a few days away, and I knew that all that needed to happen was at this point transportation.
Yeah,
So I had to
yeah,
get from the South Pole back up to my North Pole. And anyway, and it all happened, but it just made the crossing a little bit more mentally long. And
yeah.
but it is what it is. Obviously, there's the options that have the flying into Antarctica and you can fly out. And that's, I mean, it is what it is. But I do think part of this journey, the Drake Passage, is the rite of passage. You must do it,
Okay.
I
So
think.
you definitely recommend even through the rough seas on the way down, you would prefer to go by ship than by plane and just land there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound morbid, but you're not going to die. So, you might take a nap. And
Well, thank
I
goodness for that.
I also did not take anything as well. I took no ginger, I took no patches. There were lots of people that were doing those things. I did go into it expecting that I'll have no problems. So I went totally unprepared. And of course, once you leave for Antarctica, there's no shopping. So even if I wanted to get some things, there was no drugstore, there's no chemist I could call into in Antarctica.
No,
So,
you
it was
kind of got what you got.
you got what you got. And it was interesting because when we got to Ushuaia, which is the town at the bottom of the world where you sail out of, I found it rather interesting that we were able to just simply, they gave us a couple hours of free time in Ushuaia before embarking. They were like, be on the ship by like 4:30 or 5. You could see the ship. We literally just walked out that pier and just walked on a ship and sailed to Antarctica. There's no customs. There's absolutely nothing other than just a ship going to the bottom of the earth. Same coming back when we rolled up to Ushuaia, we just walked right off, and it was just as if we had been in Argentina the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just really cool.
I guess they don't have immigration problems down in Antarctica there.
No, no, no clandestines working their way into Antarctica. It's not that sort of a place, but we did have to do some biosecurity. Like we did have to, on the Drake's Passage, vacuum everything that we wanted to wear in Antarctica. They had vacuum stations, and we were called down in groups to use the vacuums, and their staff watching us. And that's to make sure that, you don't have anything on your clothing. And then when you go on shore, you put your boots go through like a slosh wash that you step through just to get any dust or small stuff from the ship off. And then when you come back from landings, you don't have to do it for cruising, Zodiac cruising, but for landings, you have to wash your boots coming back on the ship. So they have this machine and you step into it and press a button and some rather high pressured brushes with wash and chemical in it, like start sloshing the boots and getting everything off. So biosecurity is like at an all-time high for this destination.
Well, that's a good thing. Is if we want to keep it pristine for generations to visit and enjoy, and for the animals to remain, then that's what you got to do. I agree with that 100%.
Absolutely, absolutely. I could gush about Antarctica all day, but I think one thing I would say is everybody always kind of said, "Oh, it's undescribable. You can't put words in it." I'm sure you probably have heard people say that who have been before.
Yeah,
There's no words for
yeah,
this place. There's
yeah,
really no words for it. You can't do a word that gives it justice, and I don't think there's a word that really describes it. It's just another world. It's another
yeah.
world.
Did you feel like you're just really small in a huge wide world? Like there's so much out there and so much more to discover. I know you've been to the seven continents now, but a lot of people haven't. And But when we look out of our window and we just see, what's in front of us, there's just so much more. I mean, did you feel really small? Did it make you feel like, wow, I'm actually just a dot in this big wide world?
I didn't personally feel that, and I know people have felt that, and I've heard that expression from other travelers before. It was actually interesting because, again, on the ship, very scientific driven, but they had some researchers from University of Tasmania who were researching, interviewing people. They had the recorders out there asking people about their emotional experience as traveling to Antarctica, going down and coming back, and they're, doing academic research on this. So for me, I didn't have that feeling of being so small in this big, big world, but I did have this feeling of just everything coming together for me in my life. And what I mean by that is that growing up in Nova Scotia, I was just obsessed with geography. And like I would just flip through timetables like a comic book and be interested in seeing what the weather was doing in other parts of the world, just anything I could do to feed my curiosity about the world. And so, like, I was just that kid who was obsessed. And of course, it led to my life as it is. And again, getting into Antarctica, I was like, the whole journey, like learning about the world and foreign languages and working in travel and all the bookings, like it just all came together for me to be standing on continent number seven. And so, what a powerful way to wrap up a year and get ready as we go into a new year because the camping is more than just going out and saying you're camping and say, "Oh, I did it." I did it. Like it's all
Yeah,
capitals on
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
that's what I felt coming back. I guess if I had to put one word on it, Lorraine, it's empowered. I feel totally empowered.
Wow, that's really strong. That's great way to go out.
I think so. Well, folks, we could talk about Antarctica and this trip all day long, but we have so many things to do. That's what we do here on the Ship Less Traveled. We talk about small ship cruising and our passion for it. And if you want a travel agent as passionate as us and you're in Canada, you'd like to connect with me, I'm Dave Wentworth at destinationwhatever.com.
And here in the UK, I am Lorraine McCowell with bespokecruiseholidays.co.uk.
Awesome. Well, I feel like getting a cup of hot chocolate and warming up after this frosty podcast. So I think I might do that. And I look forward to seeing everybody the next time.
I love a hot chocolate with Baileys. We've run out
That's
of Baileys, so there's no hot chocolate for me.
all right, everybody. Lorraine's got to go and get some Baileys. We'll see you later on the next episode of The Ship Less Traveled. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye. Bye. That's it for today's voyage on the Ship Less Travelled.
Stay connected, follow our Facebook group, and share the podcast with your cruise-loving friends.
For listeners in the UK, you can find me at bespokecruiseholidays.co.uk.
And for listeners on my side of the pond, I'm destinationwhatever.com.
We're passionate about small ship cruising, and we're not afraid to make some waves.
So join us next time on The Ship Less Traveled.